a F in. Dennis Fuge. Not
All right,
Fuge, not
all right.
Fudge. Fuge. Are we good?
Well, yeah, basketball.
Can you hear me? Okay, so tonight we're going to be talking about how to add pewter, copper, and aluminum to your work to make, I think, make it really pop. Now, page down, it's not working. I think it's not working. So we're on the wrong setting.
Well, let's do something first. Let's get rid of this here, because we don't need to see that. And then,
Here we go. That's working now.
well, it's going the wrong way. I just want to go.
Page up.
This is the quietest you guys have ever been.
It's just page. Okay, I've got it. It's
right.
good.
Usually jabberwocky like crazy.
Okay, I say that I'm from planet Earth because my father was born in the UK, my mum was Irish Afrikaans, I was born in South Africa, my wife is from Zimbabwe, my son was born in South Africa, my daughter was born in Hong Kong, we lived in New Jersey for 18 years and Pennsylvania for 10 years. So if you can think of any place that I am other than from planet Earth, please, after the meeting, come and tell me where I'm from. I've been turning for about 50 years. The first item I turned at Pretoria Boys High when I was 15 years old. And there it is. It was a lamp stand. You can see there's a hole in the bottom for the cord to go up to the top. And I got 39% for it. 39% for it. Which in the US is what? An F, right? A failing grade. But that one item made me fall in love with wood turning, and I've been doing it ever since. 10 years in Hong Kong, I said New Jersey, 18 years, 10 years in Pennsylvania. That's where I live, in Irwina, Bucks County, Pennsylvania. The main house is called the Dog House, and the 3-car garage on the side is called Fuge's Wildwoods. It's the man cave. It's called the Dog House because that's where my wife breeds golden retrievers. We have a litter at the moment. I think they're all spoken for, 10 little babies. It's fun. So when I get invited to the dog house, or when I get put in the dog house, it's a very happy place for me, right? The 3-car garage, as I say, is Fuge's Wildwoods, and I have my shop at the bottom and I have a gallery at the top. It's located between the Frankenfield Covered Bridge and the Van Sant Airport. If you've never been to the Van Sant Airport, you must go. It's an antique airfield where biplanes, gliders, and Cubs, anything with a fiberglass wing is allowed to fly there. But it's an antique airfield. And the Frankenfield Covered Bridge. There's a golden retriever mailbox right in between. If you don't come into that driveway, you'll get a slap next time I see you, right? Because if you come there, I can guarantee you'll get a beer, you'll get some biltong, and you'll get a lick by a golden retriever, guaranteed. As I said, there are a couple of things being passed around. All those things on the table will finally get to you. If one of my handouts get to you, please take one. There's a handout on pewter, and there's a handout on where I get all my stuff from. Now, what metals are we going to use in wood turning? I'm going to just take you to the periodic table. I'm sorry if I take you back in years. But all the things with a green dot, aluminum, zinc, copper, silver, cadmium, iridium, tin, antimony, lead, and bismuth. We're going to be working with all of those tonight in some shape or other, right? Or in a mixture. Now, what is pewter? Pewter is an alloy of tin, antimony, bismuth, copper, and lead. Mostly, you don't use lead nowadays in your work. And the sheet that I'm going to hand out to you has 2 sources. And I want you to choose the one that's got no lead. And also a 7.75% antimony, but we'll get to that. They add a little bit of copper just to soften the pewter and make it more workable. It forms a paste at about 350 degrees Fahrenheit and becomes a liquid at 380 degrees Fahrenheit. So when you hear me talk about a cold pour, it's about 450 Fahrenheit. If I talk about a hot pour, it's about 600 Fahrenheit. Tonight we're probably going to do a hot pour at 600 degrees Fahrenheit. But the important thing is when you're casting the pewter, if you pour too cold, if you pour at 450 degrees, when the pewter actually joins to each other, it forms a gap and it forms a weak spot. If you pour too hot, it's going to scorch the wood on the side. So depending what application you want it for, you'll choose a hot or cold pour, right? If you're pouring it into your final artwork, then you'll want to do a cold pour, but you'll want the gap to close. Does that make sense to you? Or if you are ebonizing the piece of wood on the outside, then it doesn't matter. You can do a hot pour because you're going to ebonize it. You're going to make it all black. Does that make sense to you? Now, what is copper? I think we all know what copper is. It's a red-orange metal. But what's important is the melting point is 1,984 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can't really use it in a wood shop. You can't smelt it. You can't melt it in a wood shop. And that's the same with brass and bronze. They're 1,650 degrees Fahrenheit and 1,742. So you can use them, but you have to use them in rod form or powder form. You can't melt them. Aluminum as well, 1,220 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's pretty hot. We'll pass around an ingot with pewter, and we'll also pass around a little ingot of aluminum, just so that you can see. You can actually buy little ingots of aluminum, and you can turn it. We'll actually cast the ingot of pewter that we're going to be turning around, that we're going to be turning tonight. Now, what is solder? You call it solder, I think, in this country. The proper Queen's English is solder. It's got a L, solder. And its melting point is anything from 90 to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Its composition is tin and lead, but you can get lead-free solder as well. And it's got zinc, antimony, and bismuth in it. Now, there are two sources that I use. Atlas Metals, I get these little babbits. They call them little babbits. And its catalog number is 592 or 590. And you'll see in the middle is the antimony, the 7.75% antimony. Rotometals is my other source, and I get the ingot. There's an ingot being passed around. It's a 1 pound ingot. And that'll cost you somewhere between $35 and $40 for that 1 pound of pewter. But once more, that antimony at 7.75% is the most important. If you don't use the antimony, the one with antimony, it's going to crack up on you when you work it. So if you're making little tin soldiers or casting things that you don't need to work, then you can use anything that hasn't got the antimony in. But if you're going to cut it with a tool or drill it, then you must have the antimony, right? I bought the wrong grade by mistake one year, and I simply went to Rotometals and I got some antimony. We'll pass that around, and I just added 7.75% antimony to all of my pewter, right? So it's now much more workable. There you can see the little babbits. And I used to just use a little stainless steel cup that I got from the Chic shaving company that I used to work for. If you're going to melt your pewter, you must use a stainless steel vessel, right? Or as an iron vessel. Otherwise, it's going to melt. But I just used to use a little cup. But then I managed to score a little stainless steel vessel from my wife, a little kettle, and that's what we'll use tonight. We'll show you that later. You can also buy ready-made pewter from Craft Supply for potpourri containers. And there's some of the applications that I've used. You can make finials for your pieces, or you can cast it into your artwork. If you want to thread it, you can thread it as well. Somewhere along here I have a threaded piece. We'll also pass that around. You just use your normal threading machine or your threads that you use for wood to thread your pieces. Now there's an example of where I've put pewter into a piece of artwork. This is one of what I call my satin series. I believe when we finally do get when Elon Musk finally does send a craft up to Saturn, you're going to find Saturn's got a wooden center. Its first ring is going to be pewter. Its next ring is going to be eggshell. Its next ring is going to be copper and brass dots, and it's going to have 8 moons around it. So that's where you would cast your piece in a separate piece of wood, cut it to size and glue it in, right? Because I wouldn't want to disturb the eggshell or the wood next to that piece. So you'd make the piece, cut it out, and drop it in. There's a finial that I made for a deep hollow vessel, also out of pewter. This is what we're going to be talking about mainly tonight, how to take a simple bowl and elevate it to the next level, right, by adding a pewter foot and a pewter top to it. There you can see various pictures of them. There's a pewter foot with little solder tips in the side of it. You can see an ambrosia piece with the silver solder pieces. That is a piece that sold at auction for $550. It was a small little bowl, about 3-4 inches tall, made by Ray Keyes. He gave us the blanks. When he passed away, these blanks were passed around. They were about 1 inch thick, and I added my touch to that. I added a pewter top and a pewter base to it. There's another one, and that I think is going to be passed around soon. You'll be able to study it. It's a little oak bowl, and I filled the voids with aluminum, and then I put a pewter ring on the top and a pewter foot. There's another one made out of oak, which I then ebonized with vinegar and steel wool solution, and then I've added a top and a bottom to that. You can see the little signature that I have, the signature medallion in the bottom there. I buy those from a company out in California. And the name of that company will be on my spec sheet that I'm handing around. There's a piece of Tupelo wood, I think it's called. It was from Cranford, New Jersey. It was old poppy. I don't know if any of you know that tree. It was in the center of the city, in Cranford, New Jersey, I think it was. And I managed to get a piece. They cut down the tree. It was a very historic tree, and I cut down a piece, and I put it on a pedestal with little copper dots and little brass dots into the pewter at the bottom. It's there. You can hand that piece around, that natural edge. Yes, that one. That's it. It's a piece that I made at the Bucks County, what do they call it? Echo Lake, they call it. It's a cherry vessel with aluminum top and an aluminum bottom. And I'll never do that again. The aluminum tends to stick to your tool, and it creates a false edge. So it says you're not sharp. And you have to break the aluminum off to create a sharp edge again. So I'll never create a big rim of aluminum. That was a one and done piece. A piece that's going to be down at the New Hope Works in Wood. You can see I've used little bits of copper to create a spiral pattern in this beautiful piece of maple burl. You can see where there was a little void, I've used copper wire to jump the side. And that's going to be down, as I say, at that exhibition. One of the first pieces that I put a copper foot on, you can see all the wormholes have been filled with copper, and I put a little beaten copper foot on the bottom. That's similar to the piece we're going to be making tonight. You can see a copper spiral wire at the top, copper dots on the side, and then the foot is also made out of copper, or copper dots. And we'll hand them around. There are different feet that you can make. You can make a very classic foot, or you can make a beaten copper foot, or a little wooden foot to match. We'll just have a look at various options there. So there's the bowl with a black walnut foot with little copper dots. There's, on the right-hand side at the top, is the very silvery piece, or very shiny piece. And all you do there is you go to your plumbing store and you get a little foot, and you'll sand it down. Or else you can make your own little feet out of copper, 3/4 inch copper pipe, copper tubing, and you get one of these expanded jaws. If we have time, I'll show you how to do that. Or you can, at the bottom there, you can change to a cherry, so a cherry foot on a black walnut bowl. There's another piece, it's at the front here. It's a little cherry bowl with the copper wire on the top and different feed formats, cherry, shiny copper, and beaten copper. There's a piece we're going to hand around. It's called that Irish, that one at that bottle at the back there. That one. I call it the Irish drinking bottle. It's got a little cup on the top. You can take the cup off, you can pour yourself a shot, and you can dip it down. That's got the copper spiral that I'm going to be doing a lot more of, and the copper dots with a little cup at the top. Now, the golden mean and Fibonacci, how are those important to us in wood turning? Firstly, what is phi? It's the golden section or the golden ratio. It's the ratio of 1.618, and the Greeks knew it as the divine proportion. Leonardo Fibonacci, way back in the Middle Ages, he realized that if you add 1 plus 1, you get 2. If you add 2 plus 3, you get 5. If you add 5 plus 8, you get 13. Now, if you take the high number and divide it by the one just before, you get 1.618. Isn't that interesting, right? That then became the divine proportion, or the Fibonacci series. How does that relate to us? Everything in the world that's beautiful has that golden mean in it. Paul Lazane's face, George Clooney, the penguin, the shells, the butterflies, the human, the ear, the dolphin, they all are that ratio is embedded in them, right? Does that mean a face that doesn't have the golden mean is not pretty? No. It just means it doesn't conform to the golden mean, right? That's all. Now, you can make yourself a set of calipers, golden mean calipers. And I can send you out the plans for those, or you can look online. But no matter where I open that caliper to, it'll be the golden mean. That divided by 1.618 will give you that. Or you can make a simple two-legged one. That divided by 1.618 will always give you that. So if you want to go to a bowl and say, does that bowl meet the golden mean? You'll go to the diameter, you'll check the height, and you'll go to the foot. So we'll use that a little bit later, but that's where the golden mean applies to us. If you have a bowl that complies to the golden mean, people will say, wow, that's a beautiful bowl. If it's not the golden mean, doesn't mean it's not beautiful, right? Can be flat, can be squat. This bowl has got no chance of being the golden mean, the one with the tops in, right? But still, it's a beautiful bowl. It just doesn't conform to the golden mean, okay? So I don't want you to get hung up by the golden mean. Just remember, if you make a bowl that measures to the golden mean, it'll be good. Let's have a look. There are 3 bowls. Bowl number 1, bowl number 2, bowl number 3. Which to you is the most pleasing bowl? Bowl number 1, 2, or 3? Again, 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3? So that's a good salad bowl. It does not conform to the golden mean. That one conforms perfectly to the golden mean. The diameter divided by 1.618 gives you the height. The height divided by 1.618 gives you the foot. So B is the most perfect bowl in terms of the golden mean, right? Some of you said number 3. It's a nice shallow bowl, perfect for keys, perfect for tops, but it doesn't conform to the golden mean. Make sense? The other term to just remember is cantonary curves. Cantonary curves, the arch in St. Louis, right, is the cantonary curve. So anytime you're wanting to find a shape that's going to be pleasing, just get a chain and hold it up, right? Any one of those curves will be absolutely stunning, right? Now, if you look at the best bowl makers in the world, Mike Mahoney, you hold a chain to that, you'll see he's either got the catenary curve or he's got the golden mean in his bowl. There's some more. Dale Larson. If you hold up a chain to those pieces, you'll find it's perfect catenary curve or golden mean. So these guys seem to know what they're doing. Dale Larson again, Mike Mahoney. If you hold up the chain to Mike Mahoney's piece, you'll see it conforms beautifully to the catenary curve. There's Mike working in his workshop in California, I think. So those two ideas I must leave you with, catenary curves and the golden mean. Okay, now we'll switch to the demo. I'll just switch this guy off. Stop my sharing first. It's just my hard drive, it's okay. That would be fun, eh? That would be fun if I turned a laptop.
I'll get you when you can do it.
Okay. Now, I think we're going to do pewter first tonight, if that's okay with you. We'll do some cooking first.
You're starting at the lathe or at the table?
At the lathe. So let's assume this little bowl needs a pewter top. This is a little cherry bowl. Can you all see that? And it's been buffed with a Beal buffing system. And we'll put a little pewter ring on there and a little pewter foot on there. Now, if you speak to a wood turner and he says he's made something yesterday, how would you know if he's lying to you? Just check his fingernails. If they're shiny, you know he's used the Beal buffing system. If they ain't shining, he's bullshitting you, okay? So let's work on this little bowl here. You're going to take it to a piece of wood and you're going to make a pencil mark around the outside of it. Bring it up to your... Oh, we need a little bit of WD-40 on this lathe, but that's okay. You bring it up to your bowl. Get your pencil. Turn your lathe speed way down. Make a little mark. Okay, make a little pencil mark where you want it. Then get your little caliper. Get your little caliper and measure the width of the bowl. Not the width, the thickness of the bowl. So there we go. If I make it an extra millimeter thick. If I make a pewter ring that size, it'll fit nicely on my bowl, right? So what you do is you start your lathe again. You make a little line that distance in. Make sense? Then you take your favorite parting tool. Get this guy out the way. Just going to start the little fire quickly. I'm just lighting this Bunsen flame here. We don't have to worry too much about carbon monoxide because we won't be using it for very long. We're going to hope that this temperature gets up to about 600 on this thermometer, right?
What's in there? There's pewter in there?
It's pewter in there, yes. And that ingot has been passed around, and it's got AC on the bottom, which means it's the right alloy that we want. Then once you've got your lathe going and you know your marks, you've just got to turn a little mote, what I call a little mote in the bottom. Get your parting tool, get in there, get your glasses on or your face shield. Because we're not turning big stuff, I won't use a face shield tonight. Get your speed up. Now all you want to go in is about 1/4 of an inch in. You can see I've cheated, I've pre-turned a lot of this. But the important thing is to get a little chamfer inside, a little dovetail in there. So that the pewter, when you pour it in, has got something to bite into, and the same on this side. So there's my little mote. Can the camera see that nicely? Then for the foot, you want to cast a little foot that looks something like that, right? So all you got to do is go in, drop your tool rest slightly, go in with your parting tool and create a little cone. Just get your parting tool and create that little cone. Then what you want to do is go upstairs to your microwave oven, or I'm assuming it's upstairs if you're in the basement. Otherwise, just go to your microwave oven and put this piece of wood in the microwave oven for 3 minutes, 1 minute at a time for 3 minutes. What you're just wanting to do is drive any moisture out of the wood.
In between, how long do you go in between the 1 minute?
Just let it cool slightly, and if you put it on a metal surface, you'll see that there's moisture. Moisture develops on the surface. All you're trying to do is drive out as much moisture as possible. If you do it too quickly, it'll get too hot, which doesn't really matter much. I mean, I use hard maple, the same stuff you're using for the tops that we make. I find hard maple makes one of the best molds. And there we are. So that's our mold. We'll put it on another piece of wood so we don't burn the table here. Up a little bit more. Please get yourself a pair of thick gloves as well, so that when you're handling these thermometers and that. Okay, we've still got a little way to go there. Now, if you want to add copper into your piece, copper dots, there you can see, can you see this piece nicely? It's got little copper rods sticking out of it. So all I've done is, in my mold, I've used my indexing ring on the lathe, and I've drilled little holes the size of the copper rods, and I've just glued them in with super glue. Okay?
Can you just put it up against the chuck? Put it up against the chuck. Now they can see it.
So in that moat, I've just used my indexing ring to drill little holes, the size of the copper rods, and I've just glued those little copper rods in. So then when I pour the pewter, I do a hot pour at about 600 degrees Fahrenheit, and it runs around the copper and solidifies the copper in as well, right? Make sense?
Treat the copper first so that it sticks well, or are you going to put any kind of flux on it?
No, you just make sure you rub it with a emery or piece of sandpaper, just to get that like coating off.
Dennis, please repeat the question for the people online.
Sure, the question was, do you treat the copper in any way? Do you use a flux or anything? No, you just got to sand off the copper, that little film on all copper wire. There's a very thin plastic film, I think, that, oxide. You just want to get that off. But at 600 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to probably burn it anyway. So that's if you want to add copper into your pieces. Let's see, we haven't even got a melt. Yeah, it's starting to melt. It's starting to melt around the sides. Yes. For the bowl, this is a piece of cherry. The mold? Hard maple. Yes. I tried MDF at one stage. It works, but it tends to smoke and char and give a terrible smell to your shop. So I've just used bits of hard maple that I get from Monteith Lumber. You know, I go down and ask them. Yes.
How do you get all of the pewter or whatever you're using into the wood?
Okay. The question is, how do I get those pewter bits into the side of the wood? So while this is cooking, I'll show you how you do that. Let's say I want to fill this void here in this piece of wood. I just clamp it in my lathe. And anytime you're going to do this technique, I want you to protect your wood first with what I call lunatic juice. If you don't use it, you're a lunatic. What it does is it's a mixture of 1 in 10 shellac to denatured alcohol. Okay? So 1 part of I use Zinza shellac because I know it's wax free, but 1 part of Zinza shellac, 10 parts of, in 10 parts of alcohol. Then what you're going to do is you're going to spray the piece quickly. Spray it all over. Have you ever worked with super glue and you get those beautiful run lines, those dirty run lines in your work? This sorts out that problem for you. So just spray it liberally with this 1 in 10 Zinza shellac. Now, if you're going to want to use, if you're using aluminum and you want that silvery look, then you'll use that aluminum powder. And there's a couple of tubs being passed around. One's got aluminum powder, one's got brass, and one's got copper. So you protect your work first with, I call it lunatic juice, for lack of a better name. What we'll do is use some copper, just because that's what I have handy, but you can use either brass powder or aluminum powder. You get them from the Craft Supply catalog. I think it's page 98. And you can buy them. They charge, I think, $18 or something for a little tub of copper. And aluminum slightly less expensive. But can you see this nice big void that I've got here? Now let's treat the small void, this little wormhole. Let's say we want to treat that guy. All you do is you protect your lathe, get a little bit of powder, tap, 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 tap. Can you see the powder there?
Can't see it.
Can't see it?
You just have to swing it around towards the audience.
Oh.
Just rotate it towards our audience a little bit.
That's not going to work for me. I'll show you now. Hold on. Well, we got a better solution. Just take it out of the chuck. Can you see it now? Yes. You see the little wormhole?
It's the red stuff.
You see it there? If you've got a deep wormhole, then you'll just fill it a couple of times. So there's thin super glue into the wormhole.
So that was after the aluminum powder you put the super.
This is the copper powder. Yeah. Copper powder. A little bit more super glue. This is why you protect your work, because if you don't, you'll see that dirty mark from the super glue in your work. More super glue. Get it?
You sprayed the area, you sprayed the void as well, right?
I sprayed everything. There's the copper. A little bit more super glue and you're done. We'll accelerate that quickly. Accelerate him quickly. And that little wormhole is now filled. And now you can get your sandpaper. I'll just move straight to 600 grit, doesn't matter. Normally you'd start with about probably a 220. Then you take your sanding disc and you look at the shine already that's coming on that copper. That's all you do. When you get to 1000 grit, you stop and you've got a beautiful, as I say, there's a tub of aluminum, a tub of brass, and a tub of copper being passed around, right? Just copper powder. Now, you can try and make your own, and we're going to pass around a piece of wood that's got the different items on. That piece of wood there, that's got homemade shavings, that's got commercial shavings you can read. And I find the finer the powder, the better. So the craft supply powder will give you a beautiful finish, shiny finish. If you make your own filings at home, you'll get more of an antique finish. And depending on what you want in your artwork. If you want a beautiful shiny piece, then you want a fine powder. If you're not fussed about that, you want an antique piece, then you can make a selection. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Lovely. Okay, let's see if our cooking is ready. 900 degrees Fahrenheit. Woo! That's hot. That's hot. So I'm going to really wear my gloves, right? Now, can the camera see this pot? Temperature of 900, so you want to take that out and you want to put that on a surface that won't scorch. You want to get a stainless steel spoon. Just going to stand it up there. Ooh, it's hot. And you want to just take any slag out that's in. On the top of this, there'll be a little bit of slag. Just take the slag off and put it into a little piece that won't burn the table. I've got a little stainless steel vessel here. So you just balance it on a piece of wood so it doesn't burn the club's table here. You just get rid of any slag that's on top. You can see, because this has got quite hot, there's more slag than normal. Because any shavings that you have from your pewter afterwards, you can just put back into your pot. The wood burns off, you know, the pieces of wood that are in the pewter will burn off, and they'll form this slaggy layer on top. Any questions about the alloys that you must use? Can someone give me the answer? Which is the most important ingredient in pewter to make it workable? Antimony. What percentage are you looking for? 7.75. That's right. If you're just making little tin soldiers that you don't need to work, you don't need to worry too much. But okay, that's most of the slag out. Close the lid of your teapot. Get yourself a nice pair of gripping jaws, because this handle's going to be damn hot too. Now, can the camera look at this piece of wood, this mold here? Because I'm going to pour the pewter into the mold. Are we good? There we go. We'll pour the center one first, and because we're so hot it's going to smoke and bubble, but we don't have any smoke detectors here. So that's the foot poured, and there's the outer ring being poured, the top ring. Pour it a little bit proud of the surface, and you're good. And now you let that cool down. Obviously, the hotter the pour, the longer it's going to take to cool. But Dennis Fuge is organized, and because he made a cone in the center, and this is a nice cool piece that I made last night, I can just go like that and my middle piece comes out, right? That's going to be the foot. Now, while that's cooling, we'll turn this and we'll show you how to make a ring.
He was trying to figure out how you were going to get that out.
It's a cone, damn it, it falls out. Now, if you don't make a cone, then it won't fall out. Then you've got to ease it out. Okay. Now,
No, not the cone.
how am I going to get this out? Oh, well, that's why you came to this. That's why you came to this demo, right?
Correct.
Right. You get your parting tool. In fact, we'll use a bowl gouge to start with. We'll use a bowl gouge to start with. Start the lathe. I hope you're a good baseball player. You a good baseball player? Can you catch? Okay, a little bowl gouge right across the surface. People sometimes ask what grind I'm using. I'm using Johannes Michelson's grind. It's the vector grinding system. So you get 3 little steps. So you get a micro bevel at the top and then 2 other little bevels that you get an actual round tip. Does anyone want to see that? I'll pass that one around carefully. It's damn sharp. But you get the 3 steps, the vector grinding system. Now, if you want to save some money, then you just get a lid from a box. You put it underneath here to catch some of the pewter. I'm just showing you that because sometimes when I drill it out, you get a lot of pewter and it's worth saving. But tonight we won't fuss too much. You can see the pewter shade coming off beautifully there, right? Now, if you turn it to higher speed, pewter doesn't like a bevel rubbing cut. It likes a scrape. because it will melt. Okay, if you turn it to higher speed and you do a bevel rubbing cut, you know that bevel gliding cut that we teach? It can melt the pewter and it gets all gummy. So pewter is best handled just with a scrape. You know, you just put your tool on an angle like that and scrape. You get bits flying into your mouth that way. So I'm doing a little bevel rubbing cut here, but the lathe speed is not that high. Now we take our little bowl again. Where did that little cherry bowl get to? There it is. We get our little caliper. Come on, it's very shiny because it's been buffed so beautifully with the Beal buffing system. Stop your lathe. You can see that pewter's almost shining already, right? But this is the bottom that's going to fit onto the bowl. We fit our little bowl, and we see, that's good. We've got at least 1 millimeter of play, right? And this bowl has got a little rabbit. You call it a rabbit, right? And that little rabbit has also been indented with this very sharp point, just on that side and the inside, so that when you put the epoxy on, the epoxy's got somewhere to stick in that little rabbit. So you just create a little rabbit there and there. Make sense? So I know that if I take my little measure again, put this away, I don't need that. Take my little measure. I know I've got 1 millimeter from the outside, and then to this little rabbit I've got this little three millimeters, right?
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Of course.
Instead of pouring the pewter in a separate piece, let's say, for example, it's a 1/2 inch thick, couldn't you have made the edge of the bowl like 1 inch thick and cut a groove in that and poured it directly onto the bowl?
Yes, you can. The problem is when you come to polish it with the Beal buffing system, the blackness from the pewter transfers onto the wood.
So you need to do them separately.
So that's why if you're doing a cherry bowl, then you do it separately. If you're doing a black walnut that's totally black, or you're going to ebonize the bowl, then you can do it. But otherwise you do it in 3 separate pieces, yes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass around a box, and you'll see the 3 different pieces. There's a black walnut bowl. There's the foot that it's going to sit on. Can the camera see this? Box is in the way. But there's the foot, and there's the bowl, and there's the pewter ring with the copper dots that's going to fit on the top. Okay? Now in the box you'll see another ring that was made out of the wrong pewter. It was made out of 98, and it was brittle and it broke. So I'm going to pass the whole box around. You can look at the 3 different elements that are going to be made. You can photograph the rabbit, you can do whatever you want to with it, and learn from my mistake. So I know if I make a groove 3 millimeters in, I'm good. And the rabbit is the width of my parting tool, so that makes it easy for me, right? So all I do is I go in now, and I make a groove for the epoxy to sit in. 3 millimeters in. Now at this stage I'm going to put a face shield on because I don't like eating little bits of pewter. My hair's going to be grey by the time the evening's over. Because of silver grey, yeah. So now, once you've got your little groove in there, you see if your rabbit's going to fit in. Is that what it's called, a rabbit? Babbit, rabbit? Okay, it needs a little bit more removed from the outside. And now you've just got to be patient. It's just a case of fitting slowly but surely. Alan, you'll let me know if there are any questions that come online, eh? Any questions online? Okay. That's good. My explanation's so damn good. There shouldn't be any questions. Okay, you check. Okay. Now that's starting to just fit. Just starting to drop into that groove. Good. No, it's just as my explanations are so damn good. Now also on this little bump on your bowl, you want to just get your caliper when you're making it and just make sure that the inside height is the same as the outside height. So that height there should be the same as that height. Otherwise your little ring is going to be uneven, right? So always try and make sure that those are nice and even. Now if I put that in, I can see that I'm deep enough. It's going to fit really nicely. Now I just fit this outside again. And I'm going to call that good. A little bit loose, but that's fine. The epoxy will pick that up. Okay. So now I know my little groove is good. It's going to fit nicely onto my bowl. I just want to release it now. So now I've got to come in here with my parting tool and I've got to release the outside first. Now can you see why we undercut that on the inside? Because when you're working with this piece of pewter, you don't want it to come flying out too soon. You want it to fly out when you want it to fly out. Okay, now I'll relieve some of this wood on the outside with my bowl gouge.
How time, so will you be able to use that mold again?
Not, yes, but probably only twice. And you'll see why soon. The question was, can you use the mold again? And I said, yes, maybe twice. And you'll see why. Okay, so now I've relieved the outside of my ring. Now we've got to relieve the inside of the ring. So now we get our little caliper again and we measure the size. And we know that's that. Measure our little bowl again. Measure our little bowl. We know we've got 1 millimeter on the inside to take off, right? Make sense? And it's fitting really nicely. Yep, it's fitting really nice. It's good. I won't be too fussy for a demo, but now we want to relieve the inside. Now, how would you do that, sir, without being too dangerous? Masking tape. We get some masking tape. See if this may be better. Yeah, this is going to come off better. So you mask it off, just on the outside. The camera, see what I'm doing? Any questions while I'm trying to find the end of my masking tape?
I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you use jewelry wire?
That's silver, right?
A mix.
I can see no reason why you can't. If you can use solder and you can use copper wire, you should be able to use jewelry wire. All depends what its composition is. I think even silver you can use, gold you could use. $4,000 an ounce, yeah? Yeah, you'd have to sell your bowl at a hell of a price.
Then again, a good roll of masking tape costs about that much.
I lost you. Why are you doing this? Why are you holding it down?
You don't have a catcher's mitt.
Oh, it's going to pop out?
It's going to come whiz. Going to come whiz. Now you could also drill a hole in the middle and put a little one of those barbecue sticks in. What do they call them? Those little skewer. That also works, but when the ring falls off, it can hit the lathe, and then you start all over again. So that's all you do is tape it on. Start up your lathe. We know we got 1 millimeter to take off the inside. And we lose the wood first. Then we start with the pewter. Now what you're doing is getting that little dovetail of the pewter off. I'm being a little bit cavalier tonight, because I don't want to waste your time. But the more careful you are, the better. Okay, I think I've liberated the ring. Maybe one more cut. Okay, that's liberated the ring. Now you can take your masking tape off. Your whole ring should pop out. Here we go. There's our beautiful pewter ring. A little bit hot in my fingers. Fit on my bowl perfectly, right? Now you're going to say, Dennis, but the top is all mucky, right? Sure, top's all mucky. So that's why I'm going to answer your question about whether you can use this mold again. Yes, you can. And what we're going to do is we're going to turn a little mote here. Where that scorch line is, I don't advise you to be quite as cavalier as I am, but I'm trying to just be sensitive to time. Now, I've created that little moat that now my piece is going to fit in nice and tightly, right? Can you see that? Piece goes back in beautifully, right? Make sense? Now, just going to loosen it a little bit tight. You want to make it deep enough so that if you put some double-sided tape in there, you've still got room for your little ring to fit. Take your lunatic juice again. Just spritz it so that that double-sided tape, when we put it on, sticks nicely. It's just to make sure the double-sided tape sticks nicely. It's just coating that surface with a bit of shellac and removing any dust.
How much more difficult would it be to pull that out of there if you had copper pins in it? You said you could drill holes with copper pins before.
Yeah, good.
Now you got to pull it out with copper pins embedded in there.
Okay, so good question. How much more work is it if you put copper pins in? Well, what you have to do is you've got to relieve all this wood on the side and then go in with a parting tool from this side, right? And go in and hit the copper. Just see little copper bits go. Then you've got to be fairly brave, and you just got to push your parting tool in to relieve the copper pieces first. It is a little bit more work. Not that much more complicated, but it's a little bit tense because that copper is a little bit harder. But thank you for that question. That's important. Then you just take bits of 3M tape and you stick it in there. The more tape you put in, obviously the stronger, but then you've got to get it all off afterwards. Has anyone in the front row here got small fingers that can come and get this tape off for me while I put it on? Thanks, Patty. You come around that side and you just pull the tops off the tape as we... Just get another piece in here. You've done this before, right? How did it work out for you? Hang on, that juice is still too...
Sorry.
We just need this shellac and alcohol solution to dry a little bit. Otherwise it doesn't stick.
It's not staying.
Not sticky? Yeah, it's still too wet. It's okay.
Oops. Down here instead.
Sticky? Now I find with this 3M double-sided tape, it needs to stick for a good 2 minutes for the bond to really form. Okay, get that off. Now, what have I got that's exactly the size of this ring that I can push against? The bowl. Wow, you guys are so damn sharp, man. It's New Jersey Woodturners, right? Is that right, Bob? That's right. You New Jersey Wood, damn sharp guys, these. So now you put your ring back. Nice and tight. The only reason you're wanting it to be that accurate is because when you finish your ring, you want it to be nice and smooth. Okay, here we go. So now you put your ring back, give it a squeeze for 2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes is done. Oh, drop your bowl. Then you can finish your ring with your bowl gouge. Let's hope it's holding tightly enough. A little bit quick, but it should be good. Slow the speed down, switch on. Now you can finish the top of your ring. Now you can decide whether you want a right angled surface or you want a beveled surface on your piece of pewter. Make sense? Stop there. Get your sander. The same way you do with a piece of wood, you sand it. That's enough sanding. Then what system would you use then to shine it? Be your buffing system. That's right. You guys are so damn sharp. Wax on, wax off, right? That old Karate Kid. Wax on, wax off. Wax on. No, this is the beer buffing system. So it's triply wax to start with, then white diamond wax, and then you don't really need the carnauba wax step. Suffice it to say, if you sit here long enough, at a nice high speed, you'll get a beautiful shine. You'll be able to comb your hair in this piece. We won't spend time getting this piece really shiny, because you saw the piece that I handed around, how nice and shiny it was, right? Then you move to your next wax, the white diamond wax. Wax on, wax off. And there you have the perfect ring for the top of your bowl. We'll pass that around. Be a bit warm. Just take a sharp blade when you've shone it. All the sides must be nice and shiny. Take a blade and just cut it off through the tape. But there's the top. How are we doing for time, Bob? How are we doing for time?
10 more minutes.
10 more minutes.
Can you do 10 more? Easy.
No,
More than that?
I need a lot more than that.
You want to go 25?
Yes, why not?
Let's go longer. We're going to skip the show and tell.
Okay. Then, to do the foot, you just need to get yourself the right size drill. I normally use a 3/4 inch drill. This hasn't been taken out for a long, long time. Is it?
When I've done, you put a skew chisel in here, a square chisel. Get this going back out. Oops.
Yeah, like so. Ah, that easy. Aha, thank you, sir. What a champ. Okay. So now you saw that foot come out of that piece of wood. Simply switch on your lathe, slow the speed down, drill a little hole. Now this is where a box underneath here would be useful, because you get quite a few shavings that you can save for the next job. You can see how easily it drills. When you think you're in deep enough, you stop, bring him out, use that same trick again. You cover your bit. Need a longer tool.
Need a longer tool.
There we go.
Got a
That's
wider
it.
tool?
No, it's done.
Grab
Should
this
be done. Should be done. No?
Nope.
There we go.
There we go. Don't put your tongue on that.
Okay, then you get your bowl gouge again and you just straighten out that top. Won't go any further. Australia's closed for business at the moment, I think. So. Remember, scrape with pewter is probably better than a bevel rubbing cut. There it is. Now, if you're making multiples of these, then all of your parts will fit. So that's a 3/4 inch hole, a piece of pewter. Put that aside. I get this little nib. This little nib here. Put it into my chuck. Bring your tailstock up. Now you can finish your foot. Little jam chuck. On it goes. Now you can turn your beautiful little OG on your foot, right? Whatever design you want to now have on your foot is up to you. Do you think these little additions to a bowl make them look more presentable? Right? To me, it makes it look like a family heirloom, right? That you can hand down to the kids. And the beauty is all these little bowls hold a lot of M&Ms. And to me, that's the secret. If a bowl cannot hold M&Ms, it ain't a bowl. Right. So now you can just shape your little piece of pewter. See? If it's not holding properly, you just put a piece of tissue paper between the pewter and the jam chuck, and it'll hold much stronger. Now, when you want to make an OG, I recommend you move your whole body to get that shape. What is that called? It's called a catch. So you can, even after 50 years of turning, you can get a catch. Even a guy that got a failing grade for his first piece can get a catch after 50 years. Okay, we're not going to finish this piece, but you see, a little bit of time, you'll get a perfect OG, and then you go back to your sandpaper and your waxes.
How does this metal react with the carbide bits? The small round carbide cutter.
Never tried it. I should imagine it must be the same, because that's a scrape, so this will handle a scrape perfectly. Yeah, absolutely. Can see no reason not to use it. Okay. Now we're going to switch gears very quickly. I've taught you everything that I know about pewter, except if you get an old piece of pewter that you want to check and see if it is real pewter or whether it's got lead in it, you simply get some vinegar. Here we've got a piece that someone gave to me. Who gave it to me?
That's from Stu Bauer.
Stu Bauer. Okay. So we don't know whether this has got lead in. We do know that this lead sink has got lead in it, right? Now we'll test this little cup to see if it's got lead in it. You get yourself a little jar of vinegar. I think white is better than the colored, than apple cider, because you're looking for a color change on your little swab. You'll go to Amazon and you'll get these things called lead testing swabs that they use for paint, right? Take out a lead swab, dip it in your vinegar. Now we'll test this little piece, this Selangor pewter. Just rub it on. You're looking for a color change. No color change to the swab, right? Take my piece of lead that I know, my lead sinker, rub it on. You see a very red color immediately, right? We'll try Stu Bauer's piece here, just with the other side of the swab, see? No. I'm not sure this is pewter or zinc. I'm not sure. I'll have to check at home. But it's it's got no lead in it. So if you do get a piece of pewter, just check it quickly to see if it's got any lead. Make sense? Okay, now I'm going to switch to copper quickly and just show you how to do those copper spirals. That copper spiral in this piece. Who wants to know how to do that? Right? Beautiful. Beautiful. Just get yourself some copper wire. Twist the same length. Double it over to the same length. Come to your lathe. Get your chuck closed nicely. Clip the wire into the jaws. That's why we have a lathe. It's called a vise. You could use your vise as well. Get it nice and tight. Get your drill. Put the other side of the drill into there. And off you go. Give it a little tug. Now that spiral will give you a nice open spiral like this one. Right? That nice open spiral, long bits. If you want a tighter spiral, that'll give you a really tight spiral now, right? You with me? Okay. Then what you want to do is you want to anneal this copper. There was a piece of copper wire that was at the back. Did that get passed around?
How many strands were on there? Was it
Just two? I've never tried three. Maybe three would work. But then you want to anneal your copper. You will find this wire, when you try to bend it initially, will be quite hard to bend. When you anneal it, it moves beautifully, right? So all you need to do to anneal it is get your Bunsen flame and hit your piece of copper till it just glows a little bit red. The camera see that? You see that copper changing color there? That's annealed. That's softened it. The camera see that okay? So that's annealing your copper. That makes it really much more workable. What you're going to do is you're going to get your little bowl. I'm not going to touch the hot section. I'm just going to touch the cold section. Put this aside for the moment. You're going to get your little bowl, put it in your lathe. Who's going to try this at home? Good. That's what I like to see. Some tries. What did you think of it, Patty, when you tried?
I liked it.
You liked it, eh? Yeah. Patty was at Peters Valley, I think, with me, right? We taught this. Now, measure your piece of copper wire. Make sure that your parting tool is going to be slightly tight. That's going to be nice and tight. So what I'm going to do is we'll put another ring down the bottom of this bowl, just for the hell of it. Now you've got two options. You can glue it in with epoxy. This first ring I did with epoxy. So I got some two-part epoxy, either West Marine or Aeromarine resin. Two-part. Mix up a little bit of black pigment, any of your acrylics, your Golden's acrylics. Mix in a little bit of paint with it. And then I stood this in a plastic tub, and I poured my resin. So the resin really sunk in very well. The other thing I tried last night was this black Star Bond, right? I don't know if you guys have seen that one before.
How did you keep the resin from flowing out of it? I didn't understand.
I inverted this whole bowl. I put some tape on the bottom of the bowl and then inverted it into a chicken liver. Those chicken liver containers that you get from the supermarket. It's just the right size, but any plastic container, right?
Okay.
Just invert it and then pour your resin in so that it coats the whole thing and then sets overnight. And then you just turn the plastic off afterwards. But what I'm going to teach you tonight is this Star Bond, and we'll see if it works. So now you can see I can move this piece of wire easily. It's nice and annealed, so it's very, very soft. I get my pair of cutters. I cut my wire to length. Always cut it a little bit longer so that you can sneak up on it. Right. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and use the Star Bond again. We'll see if it works. A little bit of Star Bond there. There's black Star Bond super glue. This is thin. But I think medium would probably be better. As I say, I'm just trying this idea. And we'll see if it works. So get your Star Bond in there. Your super glue, your accelerator. Hit it with the accelerator. And then just work your way around, laying that wire in. Make sense what I'm doing?
You're putting that on top of the wire?
I'm letting it soak in all the way around the wire. Can the camera see anything there? There we are. That's sticking, starting to stick quite nicely. So then I just wrap my wire all the way around. If you need to, you can tap it in with a hammer as well, little hammer. If your groove is really tight, you've matched your parting tool to the wire, then you can just tap it in like this, and it should stay in place. There, I'm a little bit long on my wire, so I need to make another cut. Tell her I'm not here. There we are. Okay, so now my wire is cut to size. Does that make sense? Then I just run the Starbond black or black, I think is best, all the way around that piece of wire. Making sure it comes proud of the surface like this piece that I did last night. Make sense?
Dennis, what's the difference between that and the super glue?
Same. This is super glue, but it's just got a black pigment in. And it's Starbond makes it. I'll pass this around so that anyone wants to photograph it. Okay. Now let's see if it works. Sorry, before you actually go and buy this stuff, let's make sure it works. Otherwise, I would use epoxy. So now this little bit of wire is not going to stick that well. I'm just going to take it off because this piece of wire was done by the exact same technique last night, right? You with me? I can get rid of this piece of wire? Anyone in the audience disagree? Because it hasn't bonded that. I haven't poured super glue all the way around. Let me just get rid of that piece of wire. And this piece of wire was exactly the same technique. Then all you're going to do is switch on your lathe, grab your trusty tool, and you're going to cut very gently and slowly. Probably using that Charlize Theron shear scraping cut. I haven't told you about the Charlize Theron shear scraping cut yet, right? I will. You just want to tip the top. Yeah, let me show you the Charlize Theron shear scraping cut. Charlize Theron is a famous actress. Do you know her? She's probably the most famous South African actress we've ever had. And she has beautiful blonde hair. If your shear scraping cut can produce beautiful blonde hairs like hers, you know you've got your shear scraping cut working. I can see she's in our presence. Look at that. Look at those beautiful blonde hairs, right? That is what you call a Charlize Theron shear scraping cut. Your tool is very sheer, very upright. You're touching just the bottom of your tool to the work, and your little pinky is guiding the pressure. Now you can be quite aggressive, or you can be very, very gentle. Yeah, she's here. She's going to come in that back door just now and say hello to you guys. So that's what I call a Charlize Theron shear scraping cut. And that's probably what you want to do with this piece of this piece of copper initially. Now, there's the verdict. Starbond works. Starbond black works just as well as black epoxy. So if you're in a hurry, now once more you'd sand that down to 1,000 grit and then buff it with a BL buffing system. It works beautifully. Now, how do you put the little copper rods in? Say you want to put these little copper rods in the piece, like this bit here. Pass that around. Say you want little copper dots in the side or in the top. How do you do that? Little bits of copper wire from the Home Depot, 11/64 drill size. If you've got a drill wizard, you fix up your drill wizard onto your lathe. If you don't have a drill wizard, it's going to be messy. If you don't have a drill wizard, then you can simply use an indexing ring and make the drill holes. Just show you this quickly. Fit up your drill wizard. Fits into a 1-inch holder made by One Way. And you can fit it in this, you can drill holes in the side or in the top. You get it lined up roughly with the center. But you can also do it by hand, right? But I mean, it just helps. So there I'm lined up with roughly the middle of the piece that I want to drill into. I angle it to the side, make sure that my drill is going in about 1/4 inch, and there I am. So I line that up again, to center my piece of wood. I use my indexing ring. Most lathes have got an indexing ring. You can just slide it in. I'll go to 0 first. Actually, it's 1 to 24. So we'll go to 1 first. Lock it into place and we'll drill. Stepping in a little bit of water here, but doesn't matter. Make sure everything's locked nicely. We'll just do 4 just for demonstration purposes. So 1 plus 8. Switch on the drill, not the lathe. Move from 8 to what, 16? Lock it into place. Yeah, screwed up. We'll just do 3 holes for now because I screwed up my calculations.
We got a reprieve on some time. We got an extra half hour, guys.
How come?
Because I asked nicely.
Ah, okay. Then you'll get your wire from the Home Depot. There it is. You can take your chuck off the lathe, or you can take your bowl off, whichever you want to. Put your little bowl there. Yeah, it's called a drill wizard. How much? 137. All you do is get some super glue. Probably a medium super glue will do the trick nicely. Put a drop of medium super glue after you've protected your work, obviously, with that lunatic juice. And then tap, tap, tap at home. See? Yeah, cut from that thick wire that you can get at the Home Depot. You get a thick wire. The reason that piece isn't fitting so nicely is I never rounded the tip. But you get the idea. You just get a little hammer and you tap that home.
Hold the bowl for you while you tap it.
Yeah, just watch your fingers, Bob.
Yeah, the Bob Vice, you want a Bob Vice?
Yeah, just watch your finger on that side because there's super glue. You just get another little piece here. It's better if you round the bits of copper over. There's a piece there. Yeah, that's rounded. So now you can just tap it in quite safely. Okay, that's good. And then accelerate and that piece of copper's in. So what I did for you last night, instead of doing the whole thing, I've got one already done. So you can see these have got the copper rods on the outside and the wire on the inside. I'll just show you how to take those little copper dots off. No, you got a lathe. You got a lathe, man.
A big Milwaukee Sawzall?
Big Milwaukee Sawzall would work, yeah. Okay. Little cherry bowl. What cut am I going to start with? Charlize Theron, right? I'll see if she's present. Start your lathe up. That's good. Take your speed up. Now the faster you can go with the speed, probably the better. Just take your little Charlize Theron and the bits of copper are going to be uneven. I think I'm down to wood all the way around. No, they're still a little bit proud. But you get the idea. You can see they're all shining up nicely. One more little cut and I'm done. Now what I'm using here is a Henry Taylor 1/4 inch bowl gouge. If any of you ever go to my funeral, I want to be buried with a Henry Taylor quarter-inch bowl gouge, please. It's good Sheffield steel, and it's one of the least expensive in the craft supply catalogue. There we are. You got that little copper twirl on the top. One more cut. Just going to switch to a little bevel rubbing cut around this front. Switch back to my Chalise Toronsia scraping cut. And there we go. You can pass that around if you want to, and you can have a look. It's not perfect, but a few more cuts and you'll have your little bowl with the little dots on the side and the little crests on the top. Now, yes.
Stupid question, but what if you're working with a dark wood? You wouldn't be Charlize Theron anymore.
Yes, she would be more like, no. No, there's a beautiful, I forget her name now. But she's got black hair. She's an African American, beautiful, sexy lady. That's who you'd use. Or if you're using mainly pewter, you'd go for a silver-haired person, someone like Dennis and maybe Patty. Yeah, nice, thin silver hair. Now, how do you do these? Exactly the same way, right? Little dots. You got a little pewter ring. Where do you get your pewter ring from? Go to the Home Depot. You cut off a nice pewter ring from a piece of their copper. That's the base. Get a little copper washer. You got your washer, right, for the top. Got your little foot.
How do you cut the metal?
You just use one of these pipe cutter. Every plumber has one of these. It's a pipe cutter. Just fits on, and you just keep going around. You can even start your lathe up at a slow speed and just run it, and it'll cut the piece off for you. Or you can use a hacksaw if you want to.
Okay. And what about the pipe, the little stems?
These little stems here, these little guys.
No, the tiny pipe.
Those you'll either, if the wire's thin enough, you'll just use a pair of cutters. Otherwise, you'll use a hacksaw.
The cutters would deform it a bit, though. Right, the cutters would deform it a little bit on the end, anyway.
Yes, they'll deform it, and then you just got to grind that on the grinding stone. Now, what if you want to make some of these for yourself, right? These little bits. What you would do is get your piece of copper, put it into your chuck, go to your friendly plumber. You all have a friendly plumber, right?
$400 an hour, yes.
And you say, can I borrow your
Scraps?
can I borrow your expanding set, your expander? You're wedging. You're squeezing it. Yeah. You get one of these kits, like so. You borrow this from him, or you come down to Dennis Fuge's place, you borrow his kit. You start off with your 3/4 inch. Make sure he fits in nicely. Here we go, beautiful. Then what you're going to do to your copper to make it soft, you're going to anneal it, right? You take this machine, zap it quickly.
Is that a Harbor Freight tool?
I think so, yes. Cheap and nasty.
I don't think I've ever seen one.
You never seen a, what do you call it, a swedging?
Wedge.
Is that what it says on, read the box quickly? Get that pamphlet and tell us what it is, Bob. What does it say in that pamphlet? Expanding toolkit. So once you've annealed your copper, you can then go in there with this little guy, go in all the way and squeeze. You must make the sound effects as well. You've got to make the sound effects. Then you get your next size up. You get your next size up and you go shh again.
Did that big part of the tool come with the kit, or is that a separate tool?
No, it all comes all together. All you got to do is buy your copper pipe. Now, what do you have to do to the copper again because you squeezed it? Anneal it, yes. If you don't, you're going to just snap. You're just going to snap your copper. Now, you've got to anneal it again. If you don't, it's just going to split on you.
I've seen it for mufflers, so you put it in a muffler and it expand. I don't see it on Harbor Freight.
Okay, then what you do is you don't put your next one in quite as deep. You just put it in a little way to about there, and you squeeze again. And there you are. You just keep going until you get the shape that you want, right? One of those shapes. And then you can tap it with a hammer, and you can make it rough, or you can make it smooth and shiny, whichever one you want. So you can make your own little feet for your bowls. If you want a nice smooth one, all you do is get the piece of pipe from the Home Depot, and you sand it with your sander to make it nice and smooth. What you'll find is there's a funny little groove in it, though. Sometimes it's got a mark, they've stamped it with a mark or whatever, and you'll have to sand quite a bit to get it nice and smooth. But now you've got an antique-looking foot, you've got one with wire, you've got one with copper foot, and then you can buy a little signature medallion to put in the bottom. I think I've taught you everything I know about adding copper and pewter to a piece. Sorry it took a little bit longer.
Fantastic. These, I've never seen this one. This starts at $62. Thank you very much, Dennis.
It's a pleasure, guys. It's good to see you guys again.
One of the items that she didn't go over is how do you measure the amount of powder so when it melts it fits all into the ring and not too little or too less. Do you know what I mean?
Hey, let's do the show and tell.
Nuba wax at the end tends to protect